welcome back to the channel again. This is going to be the second video. I shot the first video on beginner riders, but I'm going to go ahead and shoot this video for tires. Tires are very, very important on a street bike. They literally are your life because that's what's connecting you to the pavement. And on these, especially a 1000cc bike, the power behind them, and then the way you're taking turns and whatnot, those tires could get you in a wreck, get you killed, whatever. So treat your tires very, very important. So don't let, and what that means is, like I said in the beginner video, do not let any chemicals get on your tires. Not no chain lube, not no oil, definitely not coolant, WD-40, any of that stuff, because it soaks into the tire, okay? Don't let anything get on those tires, any kind of chemical whatsoever. Water is about the only thing you want to get on there. When you're riding down the road, don't ride in the center of the road, because that's where a lot of coolant and oil leaks from cars, from the engine and things like that. So don't ride in the center of the road. Tire profile. So when you're picking out your tires, there's two main types of tire profiles. There's the triangle kind, which it's not in the shape of a triangle, but they call it that because it has a higher center and it kind of shapes off like this, and then it flattens out right there at the edge. The Michelin tires are known for that. I have Michelins on this. I got this bike used, and I think they have Michelin Road 6s or Road 4s on it or something. I don't know, but they're about shot. So I'm looking at getting another set of tires. I'm going to be going with Dunlops. The Michelins have that triangle type. And the problem I don't like about the Michelin is that higher profile. It's good riding straight, but when you go to take a turn, it just falls and then it catches. And I don't like that. I like the Dunlops where it's a more flatter profile, and then it kind of has like a little ripple on the edge. So to me, it's a constant, when you're leaning, it's a constant feel, not lean, fall, then catch. I don't like that at all. That's just what I feel when I'm riding on those Michelins. I had a pair of Michelin Pilots years ago on one of my older bikes. I did not like the Michelin Pilots. They look cool, and everybody swears by Michelin. I did not like them at all. That was a very, very bad mistake buying those tires. Dunlop for me from here on out. I have not tried the Pirellis, but once again, they're Pirellis. They have a very, it's kind of a cross between a Dunlop and a Michelin, and then on the edges, instead of kind of tapering out, they just fall off. I don't know how that's going to work, so I'm staying away from the Pirellis. Dunlops is what I trust, so I'm going to go stick with the Dunlops. Tire temperature. So it's very important to do your research on tire temperature for your tires and for your bike. Now, what does that mean? The factory recommendation will be for your bike, right? And I think there's a sticker usually on your swing arm, that'll tell you what your tires need to be inflated to. There's also the type or brand of tire, what they will tell you need to run your tire pressure at. If you run less tire pressure, it's going to be more flexible. If you run more tire pressure, it's going to be very hard and it's going to be kind of slick. In other words, the tire's not going to want to flex with the road and give you that good contact patch. Going 100 miles an hour down the straightaway, for example, on a track into hard braking, that's what heats up the race tires. You don't need to do that on street tires. Street tires warm up very quickly. Now, having said that, you don't want to jump on the bike when it's cold and go flying around a turn, your first turn right out of the driveway, thinking it's going to hold. It's not going to do that. Hey everyone, so when I recorded the last video about tires, I was out in the parking lot and my camera got really, really hot and it shut off on me. So I wanted to continue this video to talk about some more specific about tires, mainly tire pressure and tire heat. So for a street bike tire like this one right here, this is a Dunlop tire, but it was on my 07 R1 that I'm currently fixing up right now. I have not ridden this tire. The tire is pretty much almost brand new. The guy who had it before me, he mainly rid right here on the center of the tire, because you can see in the tire tread how it's more worn here in the center and hardly on the edges. And the chicken strips, which everybody knows the deal with chicken strips, he didn't really get over that much, but there's no wear on the outside of the tire. So but I wanted to use this one as an example because it's a newer tire. The one on my 2024 bike, that tire shot. I've done used it up, so that would be a bad representation to talk about. But so I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about here on the tire. So what you have here is, like I was talking about in the beginner video I shot, this is the little groove down in your tread of your tire. When your wear gets down to that little groove in the middle, that's when you know you need new tires, okay? And street bike tires have these grooves so that way they can shed water away, all right? A race tire is just a racing slick, all right? You don't need that for the street. These tires right here for the street are designed for miles. I can tell you the Pirelli Rosso V4 are about 2,000 miles. The Dunlop Q5S, which is what I'm going to be getting from a 2024 R1, that tire lasts about 4,000 miles. Both are comparable as far as temperature and use. Now, the thing I liked about the Dunlops, their tread comes a little bit further out, more to the edge of the tire. The Pirelli stops right about here, usually. And the Michelins, I'm not a big fan of Michelin tires. I've had two sets of them now, one on the 24 and one on my 06 R1. I hated both of them. I hate those tires. But that came on the bike when I got it, and I bought a brand new set of Michelin Pilots back in the day on my 2006, and I did not like those back then. So one of the things I talked about, I want to go over, is the tire profile. So as you can see, this tire profile on this Dunlop, which Dunlop tires, this is what I love about Dunlops, is the tire profile, right? It's got now, when you change the tire size, like this is a 50 series, so it'd be a 190/50 on this tire. The 50 is the center of the tire. The higher the number you go, the more the center has a more upright, right? So the racers use a 265, so the center is a little bit higher, all right? This is a 190/50, so it's got more of and this guy's ridden more in the center, so it's got kind of a flat spot right here in the center, so don't pay attention to that. But what I like about the Dunlops is look at the profile. I don't know if you can see that. Look at the profile right here. And then it kind of flares out. I don't know if you can see that right there on the edge. That's what I love about Dunlops. The Michelins that I had, and the Michelins over there, they have a higher center, and then they kind of fall away and then flare out. And that little cavity right there, canyon as I call it, I never liked the feeling it gave me, because it really felt like I was going down. And some riders like that because they want to be able to have a quick fall to when they're leaning into a turn. They don't want to feel the turn. They just want to hurry up and get down there. So it falls away. It's easier to turn in is what I'm trying to say. Now, tire temperature for street, you want to be about 140 and 160. Anything over 160, you're looking at race tire, okay? And for track day use, which is everybody's not going to be using the majority. This is for track riders only, and a racing slick, okay? That tire needs to be heated up to 160 to 180 degrees, okay? Anything over 180, you might be doing some damage to your tire. And ironically, when it comes to tire pressure, well, I'll go over that in a second. But for the street ride, you want that tire temperature to heat up around 140 to 160 max. All right, so this tire right here, it's going to heat up, because it's a street tire, it's going to heat up quicker but last longer, so many miles driven, okay? For a track tire, the tire is not going to heat up very easily. That's why you need tire warmers. If you go to the track and you have a race slick tire, you need tire warmers, because it's going to take a lot of time, more than one warm-up lap, to try to get that tire up to optimized temperature. So racing tires, they have to be heated up very, very hot. If it's 180 degrees, you can only hold your hand on the tire for a few seconds, and then your hand's going to be hot. You're going to pull it away. Those tires are designed to heat up. It takes longer for them to heat up, but they're only designed for like 30 laps max, right? Or even less. Depends on the tire maker, right? And the compound. Those tires are designed for the track, and they get very, very tacky. Like you'll see, you can just pull up a picture of race tires. It's all gobbled up on the sides and everything like that, and it looks like it's just disintegrating. They're designed to do that. They're designed to be very, very, very sticky once they're heated up. You need tire warmers to heat them up. Regular riding is not going to heat them up. It will not heat them up. So if you buy a set of race tires and think you're going to go on the street, you're going to wreck, because the tire is not going to get heated up. That's why you do not buy race tires or racing slicks for street use. For street use, like I said, this tire heats up very quickly and lasts a lot longer. Now, don't ask me why. I'm not a tire compound expert. All these different compounds that they make tires have improved since I started riding street bikes back in 2001. So that's 25 years ago. Okay, my very first street bike was a 2001 R1, and the tires have vastly improved since then. Okay. Tire temperature for the street, we went over that. It's 140 to 160. Now, like I said, it's going to heat up quick, but when you first pull off, you don't want to be trying to do anything too hard right off the jump, okay? You will wreck. I have seen people wreck. They'll pull out of their neighborhood and they think they can take a turn, and down they go because the tire's cold, or they got a bunch of chain lube or God knows what else on their tire. I mentioned that in the video. These tires this is a science, okay? You have to understand this. There's lots of variables why these tires operate and why they fail or why you wreck, okay? And you want to eliminate whatever possibilities that may be wrong. You want to eliminate that from the equation. So what do I mean by that? Don't let any chemicals touch your tires. Not cleaning stuff, not coolant. Don't let coolant get on there. Don't let brake fluid. Don't let chain lube. Don't let chain wax, oil, you name it. Do not let anything get on your tires. I see guys putting tire shine on their tires. This is not a car. This is not a joke. Okay, on a car you have 4 tires. On a bike you have 2. You can't afford a mistake. All right. You putting tire shine on your tire, it's going to seep into the tire, and it's going to cause you to wreck. This is not a car. You're not out there to try to look good. All right, these tires are designed to ride, okay, not to look good. All right, so let's get that out of the way real quick. Don't let anything get on your tires, no kind of compounds whatsoever. You keep these tires dry as much as possible. The only thing you can get on these things is water. That's it. So we want to talk about tire pressure. So tire pressure is a very finicky science, all right? When you look on the side of the bike, you're going to see a mark. Well, this one, the sticker's obviously been taken off. Here, I'll show you on this swing arm I have over here that I'm going to be putting on the new R1. That's your recommended tire pressure. It's usually found on the swing arm, so this one's recommending 42, 36. 42 in the rear, 36 in the front, right? Now, 40 pounds of pressure is too much. I'm going to tell you that right now. I do not run that higher pressure on these tires. You will use your tires up very quickly if you run that higher pressure. For street riding, let's take the extreme street riding, okay? Let's say in the mountains, all right, which is where you're doing lots of turns, you're going back and forth, you're speeding up, slowing down, all that stuff. Optimal tire pressure for that kind of extreme riding, okay, is in the low 30s to mid 30 tops. That's the low 30s for your front, mid 30 at very maximum for your rear tire, all right? And the reason why that is, you want that tire to flex, okay? This right here is a contact patch. Now, for the center, which is where you do most of your riding, which is why this is more flat in the center. This guy was riding mostly on the center. This is the contact patch. As you lean, if you're taking a left-hand turn, that contact patch changes, right? Even all the way out till you get to the center, or I mean to the edge. Now, when you get really good, let's say track day use, you're only if you're taking these turns, like let's say MotoGP riders, this is probably how much contact patch that they're riding on when they hit the very apex of the turn, when they're fully leaned over. Not that much, right? And that contact patch, you want that tire to flex. You don't want the tire to be so pumped up where it doesn't flex with the road and give you a good wide contact patch. Okay, if you had your tires pumped up really, really tight, this contact patch may be like this, as opposed to like this if it's flexing really good. So you want the tire pressure to be less as much as possible. That also helps heat the tire up. The hotter the tire, the better, okay? For these street tires, there's not really if you got these street tires up to 200 or plus 200 degrees, it's going to have to be like 120 degrees outside that day, and you're just hauling ass through the canyons or something, which would kind of disintegrate your tire, but you would notice it, right? So contact patch is very important. If you're leaned over, you're coming out of a turn, and you want that wide contact patch, that gives you the most acceleration right there, right? So you want the tire to flex, and you can tell that by the sidewall of the tire. So like Dunlops, they're notorious for being very stiff and rigid, and I'll go over why that's important in a minute. The Pirellis, the Michelins, they're very soft, so they have a lot of flex in their side tire wall, right? The reason why that is important is the Dunlops, to me, I'm more of an ADD. Like I notice every little thing underneath me. I can feel it, and that's the way I want it. I want to be able to feel what's going on, right? Those of you who are not ADD, they just want a smoother ride, like a Pirelli or a Michelin. It's a softer tire, so it absorbs more of the road. It absorbs bumps, it absorbs rocks. Like I can feel rocks, just little really tiny rocks going underneath my tire. That's what I like. I like to be able to feel that. I like to be able to feel when the tire is losing grip, and so forth. So I'll give you an example. When I was riding my 2024 R1, I was up in the mountains last fall, and I even made a video about this. I was going up there. No, this was actually just recently in February. I knew that there was going to be patches of asphalt where there was salt, where they salted the roads for ice conditions up there in the mountains, but I didn't know it was going to be as bad as it was. So I got to the top of the mountain, and there was lots of salt debris. Like it was turned into dust on the road, on the asphalt, right? And I felt that rear tire just starting to step out just ever so slightly, and that was with the Michelins. And I knew right then and there, this was not a good idea to push it. I just need to stop and turn around, because it was only going to get worse from there. And that's what I like, though. I like to be able to feel everything that's going on with that tire. So the Dunlops, because they're stiffer, they give you more of a response. You can feel every little pebble, every little slip, whatever. The Pirellis are softer compound. They have more flex, right? So you're not going to feel as much, but some people like that. You know, some people don't want to know what's going on underneath them. It gives them that's their comfort. My comfort is knowing, hey, have I got a good situation underneath me to where I can push and a good response? So one thing you need to do your research on, and I'll let you do, this could be a very long video if I continue to talk about this, is reading your tire. So these grooves right here, there's different things that could be happening with your motorcycle. So this groove could wear more than this lower part of the groove, right? Or vice versa. There's different things that can happen and different tread patterns that can develop based on what's going on with your motorcycle. I highly recommend doing your research on that stuff. There's lots of good information out there, way more than what I could explain and, spend an entire video on right now. But this is just the basics of tires. I just wanted to tell you guys how important your tires are, and the different temperatures, the different type of tire, the profile matters. Like the Pirelli, going back to profile for a second. See how this profile, it's pretty much legit. Like it's a constant flow as you're turning, and then it kind of has a little flare right here on the edge. The Pirelli, it kind of drops off faster, and then right there at the edge, it really drops off. Like what I noticed, there's no edge flare. So I've never ridden on Pirellis, but that right there kind of worries me. All I've only ridden on is Dunlop and Michelin's, and I know I do not like the Michelin's. So I like the profile of these Dunlops way better. So here's another thing about racing tires. You'll see racers, they'll use a wet tire, which has got tons and tons of grooves in it. Don't buy that. That is strictly for the track, because it's designed when it's pouring down rain to give them the optimal amount of grip. But at the same time, that tire, if you was to run it on the street, it would disintegrate. It's not made for higher temps. So like I said, don't buy that tire either. You want a street tire. Now, let's take the Dunlops, okay? Let's take the Dunlops, for example. So the Q5, you got the Racing Slick, the Q5, and then the Q5S, and then down, 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 right? The Q5 is for a track. Well, we talked about the Racing Slick, that being a track-only tire. The Q5 is for mostly track and street. The Q5S is for mostly street and track. You see how that goes? And then on down the pecking order, it goes down to, just full street ride to off-road. Now, like I said, the compounds that they're used, they're designed to last a certain length at a certain temperature, okay? If you're running a race slick tire, your tire temperatures are going to be in the upper 20s at the very, very high low 30s. I'm talking 32 pounds max. And the reason why that is they want that tire to flex under that high temperature to give them the most amount of grip. So there's all different variables to this, because like I said, it's a science. The heavier the rider, the more that tire is going to flex, which the more it's going to heat up. So that's why you see in MotoGP, one of the reasons, those guys don't weigh but 130 pounds soaking wet, if that. And so therefore they can lower the tire temperature down of their tires to get tons and tons of grip. But their tires, when you look at their tires, they're completely disintegrated because they have absolutely abused those tires. The tires have heated up so much. But a heavier rider needs to up his tire temperature a little bit if he's on the track, for example, because he's going to, that tire flex is going to cause more agitation in the tire to where the tire carcass is just going to get super hot. So it's kind of a science of where you want to try to find that fine line of, hey, based on my riding style or level with my weight and my bike, what is the correct tire temperature for me? And that's something you have to, when you're out there on the track, these guys know this. They constantly play with tire pressure and things of that nature to get that right. When you're on the street, you don't really do that as much, right? So if you're a heavier rider and you ride hard, you want to go with a tire that doesn't flex as much, but at the same time you can play with the temperature in the mid 30s. Make sense? If you're a lighter rider and you ride pretty hard, you want to go with something like a Q5 or Q5S, pretty much, because you're a lighter rider. It's not going to flex that tire as much, not going to cause as much heat. So, and keep in mind the type of tire you're buying. The Q5S is going to heat up really quick. Q5 is going to heat up less quick. The Race Slick it's going to take forever to heat up. You're going to have to do that with tire warmers. So all these things, all these variables you have to keep in mind when you're doing your tires, okay? So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. Do your research. Don't take just my opinion on everything. I still have a lot to learn myself. And I hope to get out there on the track and learn as much as possible, because that's where I'm at. I've done a ton of street riding, been doing it for years. My next step is the track, and that's what I hope to get to one day. Obviously, getting back into this, I'm having to bought 2 bikes and rebuilding bikes and things like that. So I've got a road a haul in front of me as far as cost. So we'll get there. But yeah, if you enjoyed that video, if you found it useful in any way possible, please hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and have a good day.